Good morning and welcome to another one of my videos. In this episode today we're in a 2007 2-litre TDCI Ford Mondeo, and the usual complaint for these sort of vehicles is excessive black smoke from the exhaust tailpipe when accelerating. So we're going to go through, we're going to do a few tests and see what we can find. Right, so we couldn't really see anything there from inside the car, so what I thought we'd do before we get some live data is we'll have a bit of a visual inspection around the engine, which is always best to see if there's anything obvious. With these Mondeos, it's usually one of two or three things. It's usually either the turbo actuator arm, it gets stuck in one position because the vanes are all clogged up and causes smoke. But I've noticed on this one that when you start it and rev it, the actuator arm moves quite freely, so we're not too worried about that at the moment. The second thing is the EGR valve gets stuck open, causing smoke and loss of power. But again, this looks like a fairly new EGR valve, so again I'm not too worried about that. The third thing is the injectors. Injectors cause a bit of problems. Normally low fuel pressure because they leak excessively down the leak off pipes, causing bad starting, but this starts first time every time. So again, I'm not too worried about that at the moment. But what I did notice is, I don't know whether you can see, just having a look down there, it's all wet and oily down there under that EGR pipe. And then when you look closely, I'll give it a bit of a wipe now, but I don't know whether you can see there, but in the turbo intercooler pipe, just there, you have a split. And I've just made it worse by rubbing the oil sort of all over it. So when you squeeze that, let's have that focus on there. You can see you've got a split in that pipe there. Now I've had a quick feel around the rest of the pipe, from what I can feel, and that all feels okay. So we've got to address that issue there, so we'll have to get a new pipe for that. But what I'll do is I'll see if I can prop the camera up and we'll get some footage and we'll try see if we can see anything escaping or out of that hole. Right, we're just going to go into generic data for the moment, just so we can get some generic data, because in generic you don't get no substituted values, so what you get is what you see, sort of thing. I just want to check a few PIDs just to make sure there's nothing jumping out at us. It says we've got no codes, so we're okay with that, and we're just going to live data. We'll wait for that to load up. We'll have a complete list for the time being. Let's just have a look before we start the car. DTCI 0, coolant temperature is 80 degrees, manifold pressure is 102 degrees, so it's just 1 bar, so that's good. Air intake temperature is 23 degrees. Distance of rail pressure, 50 volts, 50.6 volts on the control module voltage. That's a bit strange, isn't it? We might have to go into Ford specific to check that out. I don't know what that is. Okay. Right, so let's start the vehicle and we'll see what we get. Coolant temperature, manifold pressure. Let's just watch manifold pressure as we accelerate. peaked at about 140 kPa, which is 1.4 bar. I think due to the pressure loss, I think it should be a bit more than that. So we'll just bear in mind, at least we've got some pressure building now. Everything else looks okay. The only thing I'm not happy with is this control module voltage, 40.704 volt. So we might have to look into that. Let's just flick into, let's just go back, let's go into vehicle specific, and let me load that up and I'll bring you back with some data from there. Right, we're into full specific now. Just loaded it all up. Let's go into PCM, power control module. Let's go to live. Let's check for codes first of all. So we've got any codes. See, we've got a supercharger boost control A performance code. So let's put it down to lack of pressure. P132B, so we'll save that. Let's go out there, we're going to live data. So it's definitely suffering from low boost. Let's just see what we got here. I just click on battery positive. Cylinder head temperature, engine coolant temperature, EGR valve duty cycle. That's the little control solenoid. EGR valve position. That's actually on the EGR valve itself. Fuel pressure, desired, air intake, map sensor, what I'm looking for is a control module voltage, if we've got one. There we go. Module supply voltage, and I think we'll have the injector adaptions as well. Let's try them for the time being. So we've got cylinder head temperature of 83, 3.8 volts, coolant temperature 84, duty cycle of the exhaust gas recirculation valve solenoid 27%. So we've got nothing on the exhaust gas position valve position sensor. That's actually on the EGR valve itself, but I think that is down to that code that we've got. Let's probably lock that out. There's nothing reading on the offsets, so that's probably not supported. Right, let's go back out. We'll clear those. And we'll just go for the EGR solenoid and EGR valve position. See, we've got nothing on the valve position, and we've got nothing moving on the duty cycle. So if we go back out, so we read codes. So we've got that one supercharger or turbocharger code. If we erase that code, hang on, I've got to turn the engine off. Put the ignition on. Oh yeah, we don't mind losing the freeze frame. Clear done. Read codes. Right, system pass, okay. Right, so we go back. Let's start the car again. Go back into live data. Go back to our EGR. To there. The position sensor. And it's still locked out, so let's go back. Let's read the code again. And we've still got a code in there for the boost control A performance. So that must be, that I would imagine is, let me just jump out and show you. It's going to be that valve there. So what we'll do next is we'll take that off and we'll clean that and we'll try and free that up. Right, so this turbo arm here, I've taken the little circlip off the end of that shaft and pulled this off, and what I think it was the actuator wasn't returning back to its like default position, its off position. So I've been at this for about 10-15 minutes just freeing it off, so we've got good travel that way and it's a bit resistant that way, but it's freeing up nicely. So what we'll do, we'll keep working it for a bit and I'll come back when it's nice and free. 2 minutes later, I've been working this, and now when I took this off initially, I don't know whether you can see there, but when I took this off initially, the arm was up here, so it wouldn't go onto this shaft. But now it goes right down to the bottom, and it slips onto that shaft nicely. So we're going to put the circlip back on, and then we'll give it another code scan, see if we can clear that code. Right, we're back inside again. Just loaded up the old scan tool again. We're just going to read the codes. We've got that same code. So we go back out there, we'll erase the code. Ignition is on. DTCI, yes, done that. Clear. Read the codes. Right, so at the moment it's all good. Right, so let's start the car. We just check the codes once more. Good code, no codes, live data. Alright, let's go for our EGR solenoid and EGR position. Right, see now we've got all live readings again, see, it's all come back. The top two, if I can get out of the glare, that's the pulse modulated signal from the solenoid. It averages around 37%, 40%. It doesn't start to open to about 40%. So as you can see, we've got about 0.7 volt on the sensor itself. If I graph all those, zoom out. So these two on the right hand side are the position for the EGR valve, and on the left side this is the pulse regulated solenoid. Seems to be working now, so let's go back and we'll clear those, and we'll just get some boost pressure, manifold pressure. Let's check that. We'll graph that. Give it a blip on the throttle. 180. So that's a little bit more than we had before. I think before we had about 150. Alright, we go back. We just come out of there. What we'll do, we'll give it a couple of key cycles. Give it a few seconds to shut off. And we'll start it again. I just want to cycle it a couple of times and make sure that code doesn't come back straight away. I'll turn it off, because the first time will normally be a pending code, and then on the second time you'll probably get the fault come back, if it's going to come back. Alright, so we'll just go back into powertrain, read codes, no codes, which is good. Alright, go back into our data. Where's the other one? Oh, there it is, up there. Right, that all seems to be working still. This is good. Sorry about the glare. Right, let's go back under the bonnet. Well, I just wanted to show you that you can check these with the scope as well. You've got the solenoid that activates it down there. That's your pulse modulated solenoid, and that's the EGR valve position sensor on there. This one works on a 12-volt feed with a pulse modulated earth. So let me just make sure the ignition's on. Ignition's on. So if we back feed this lower pin down here, you'll see on the scope we've got a steady 12 volts. Well, let's start it up, I suppose, that might help. You see we've got a steady 12 volts there. Speed it up a bit. And if we go on to the other pin, there's our pulse modulated signal, so we need to go a lot faster in time. So we'll go down to 200 microseconds, and that gives us our waveform now. And if we put a trigger in now, we'll put a trigger on, a repeat trigger, see, then we can hold it together there. And then when we rev it, I'll focus you up there. You can see it changes, it doesn't change much. And then to measure the position sensor, what we'll do is we'll take it out of here. Now these sensors you don't need, and let me just turn this off. Right, now these positions, these are 5-volt sensors. You don't really need a wiring diagram. On one of these you'll have 5 volts, one you'll have an earth, and one you'll have a signal. So if we change our scope settings, we'll go down to what? We'll go down to 5 volts, and then we'll take a time base back down to where we were, 2 seconds, per division, and we'll get rid of our trigger. We don't need our trigger anymore. Right, get rid of that. Right, so there we are, that's our 0 line. Ignition is on, so we'll probe the first wire, which is the yellow wire, and that gives us our that's our 5 volt reference wire, 5 volts up there. We'll probe the second wire, which is the orangey colour wire, and that is bang on 0. So we just wait for that to refresh, so we can see there, bang on 0. So the white wire here must be our signal wire, and that gives us a 1 volt signal. So now if we start the car, I will focus you up there on the big screen. What if I can stop it shaking? Right, so the other way to test it is with the ignition on, with the scope back on the signal wire in there. You can connect the valve up, because it's only a vacuum solenoid, vacuum EGR valve. Connect it up to a vacuum pump, and then when you apply vacuum, it's not a very good pump, this one, but you'll see on some of the more, as you increase pressure, your signal goes up, and that goes up to about, what's that? That is about 4 1/4, 4.5 volts nearly, and that's at nearly 4 vacuum, so that'd be like manifold, vacuum manifold pressure. And then when you let that down, you see the voltage drop down there. That shows when you apply vacuum. Let's get some light. That shows the pintles moving, moving the sensor in the top there. Right, so that's all packed away again. So that's really all we can do for now. We've freed off the arm on the actuator, got rid of the code. We found a fault with the turbo boost pipe, so that's got to be replaced. But being this is a Saturday afternoon, I won't be able to get that till Monday, so it's going to be a few days before I get that. We've established that the EGR valve is working, and that's it really. Well, I don't think we've got any concerns with the injectors. They seem okay. We've had the battery charger on to keep the battery up charged. So that's it, folks. Next stage will be replacing that turbo boost pipe. So till next week, I'll catch you later. Well, I just had a quick drive up to the town to get a couple of bits and pieces, and while I was up here I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll post this as part 1, and then when I get the pipe put on, I'll make that part 2 the fix. So part 1 is the diagnosis, and part 2 will be the fix. So yeah, we'll catch you in the next bit. Thanks for watching.